another Mr. Betabyte video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as it's going to be a really messy video. Probably the editing is going to be quite a lot of fun as well, and the reason for that is this is the machine, the HF100 that I repaired recently, gave it a service, working really well, but the hi-fi audio was bad, and I subsequently put the scope on, and I can see the output from the heads is really low from the AF heads, but the picture's actually not that bad. So I thought, well, okay, I've got another set of heads, and the heads I had were actually the heads from the Perfect HF100. So I did 2 parts of that series of videos. There's probably another 2 to come shortly, because there's a lot wrong with it. But the reason I thought I'd try the heads from that I took out of that machine to put the brand new old stock heads on was, I thought, well, the quality wasn't that much better when I put the brand new heads on. So I thought, well, maybe the old heads were good. And I've put them on this machine, and indeed they are very, very worn. They are far worse. This is a hi-fi encoded cassette that I'm playing, and that it doesn't even detect it. So you can see the hi-fi light, the beta hi-fi light, is not on. And looking at the image, playback image, that is as good as it gets. I mean, the tracking is really good. So left, you lose lock. Right, you get some noise. But you can just see these heads are really, really worn. So that sort of is nice to know, to be honest, that when I changed the heads on this machine, they were indeed really poor. So my thought is, I mean, I have taken the heads out of the other machine, and I am soaking those just in case there is excessive contamination. I very much doubt there is, but they were very mucky when I took them off. The top of the disc was really, really mucky, and it's just in case there is something really clogging one of the AF heads. So yeah, we'll leave that for 24 hours. It's already been on quite a few hours already. But the other thing I thought I'd try is actually taking the new old stock heads off this machine and transferring them over to this machine, just to see if it does make it perfect. Like I said, I've scoped and the output seems low, but is there something else going on? Because with the original heads, like I say, the picture was really, really good, but of course there's a lot more processing to the image than there is to the AFM. So I don't know. AFM heads are thinner, the chips are thinner, so they wear quicker, but I just don't know. I just feel that this being an HF100, there's going to be more wrong with it than just changing the heads, just like there is with this one. And like I say, I've got a lot more to do on this to really get it to where it should be quality-wise. Now I have to say, I have a love-hate relationship with HF100s. They are really hard work to get right. Once they get issues with them, there's a lot that can go wrong. Things like capacitors, they use some 10 volt capacitors. They are troublesome. And there's a few other capacitors as well that seem to randomly leak and just go bad. causing all sorts of weird and wonderful issues, and they can be really difficult to trace, even with a scope and with a multimeter measuring voltages, whatever. They can be quite hard work, but they are worth doing. And like I say, the hate side of it is just the amount of hours that you've got to put into getting these right. But the flip side of that is they are absolutely brilliant when they are working well. Of course, we've got the VU meter issues as well. Invariably, they're always bad. This one is actually good. It's got the original LEDs, all good. The perfect, in inverted commas, machine, that, as you know, I have changed the LEDs, and they work great. So, with that, I suppose we'd better crack on. And the next section is going to be me just sort of explaining the first part of the process. I was originally going to do it as an updates video, or put it in an updates video, because I thought it was only going to be a short, like, sort the heads out, yay, fantastic. That's not the case. So, yeah, here it comes. The upper drum was really badly worn. I mean, it was terrible. So yes, after running it for a while and putting some hi-fi tapes through it, which I hadn't actually done initially, and with my initial testing as well, thought, well, better test hi-fi. Yeah, this is the result. So here we go. So yeah, what's basically happening, you can see there's some on the actual video itself as well. There is some pulling of the white there, some darklies. So yeah, what's happening is basically the heads are worn. The video is actually pretty good, but the video processing on these is also pretty good, with a great dropout compensator, which does really make a difference for the quality of the actual outputted video. But the hi-fi side of it is a lot less processed insofar as dropouts or whatever, just because of what it is, it's AFM. So, and I believe the head chips are thinner as well. So, potentially, they would be more worn than the video heads. So, I am strongly thinking that the video heads are actually very badly worn on this. And I have put a scope on it. I've put it back together since doing that. I didn't record it. But I did put the scope on it, and the output does look low, and not right at all. And I got onto the owner of the machine, because this is a repair, and he's happy for me to change the heads. So I do have a set of heads, I think, that are pretty good. Certainly will fit in with this machine well. So I'm going to change those, and well, we'll do some checks as well. Just compare the heads that are in this machine with the heads I have using the head test meter, and yeah, we'll see how we get on. Okay, so things have gone from bad to worse insofar as I have COVID. So yeah, I'm doing okay, but yeah, probably by the time you see this video, I will hopefully be one trilly over it, so that's all good. But next, what I'm going to do is strip this down, get the heads out of this machine and put those into here. What I'll do is I'll strip this down off camera and get the heads ready to go, and then what I'll do is I'll show you stripping this down and then swapping out these bad heads for the good heads, for the brand new old stock heads. So yeah, let's crack on. So these heads have been soaking now for 24 hours, and I do actually wonder how well they're going to perform having been soaked. You might remember that the machine these came out of was subject to quite a lot of smoke. I debated whether it was nicotine smoke or maybe a wood burn or whatever, but you never know. I don't hold out much hope given that upper drum wear, but hopefully, maybe, possibly, it is just a really bad head clog. So we'll see, but yeah, let's pop those new heads on and just make absolutely sure that all the electronics are working as they should. It's a bit of a thing with these machines that you can scope them and yeah, sort of get a signal that says that the heads are bad, but at this age there's a few other things that can cause these issues, and that's right down to the electronics and things like the rotary transformers and whatever. So yeah, there's nothing like physical replacement and testing if you have the ability and the actual parts to sort of diagnose that. So yeah, ever onwards. So I'm going to show stripping this down. It looks more daunting than it actually is. So first thing is to remove the damper. So this is the damper assembly. I do refer to this as the fan, which is a sort of a throwback to the old like C7, C6, C5 decks, and earlier, which actually had a fan assembly on the top, that plastic top. So move this. So, as I've said on previous videos, you can remove these black guide assemblies, but and indeed I think it's the way it's suggested you do this, but I just find taking this off is fine. And anyway, if you're taking this off to clean and resurface, then yeah, this has to come off anyway, so why not just do it, I suppose. But yeah, so that's that bit. So next thing is to pull out the connector. On these, I do actually have the additional screws on the top, which are the same screw locations as used on machines like the C9 that had the sort of brass assembly over the top of the linking the mounting plate to the actual drum. So and note that they are the longer screws. So these are the screws from the guide assembly, tape path guide assembly. These are the ones from the back here. Don't get mixed up. So getting this connector out. Now this can be a real fiddle, but I have found that if you are lucky enough to have fingernails, you can actually hook your fingernails in and just work that out. So you can see there's a groove to actually pick these out. You can do it with small thin blade screwdriver as well, but that can be incredibly fiddly. But it can be done that way. So we now have this Allen screw here. So 2.4mm. Just had to measure that because I wasn't sure. Couldn't remember. Once you've unlocked it, they can be really tight. This one's obviously fairly loose because I've not long had it undone. And there we go. So that lifts off. So the next thing is to remove the solder from here, here, and here. What I will do before I even do that, these two Allen screws here are what hold this transformer assembly on. So we want to free those, and you want to make absolutely sure you've got good hold of the transformer assembly when you do this. These, again, because I've not long put these on, they're actually quite loose. Or quite, they're not seized, basically. They do seize. If they've never been undone, they can be incredibly tight to get off. So there's a little bit of something going on there with that transformer, to be fair. I do wonder if maybe that might be a bit of a clue, but we'll see. So I use solder braid to just suck up the solder. Up to you how you want to do this, but obviously be aware that you don't want solder braid just floating about and potentially causing issues. Also don't want to be getting too much heat through that, which I am getting because the iron's still a bit cold, even though it says it's up to temperature. It actually isn't. And what I do is I just gently push out once the solder's molten and it's started getting soaked up by the braid. I just push the pin out slightly. And that way you know that you have properly freed it up. And the pins are fairly tough, fairly flexible. There we go. So I should now be able to lift this off. And you'll note the white here. That white needs to correspond to the white on here. So A, the A side of things. Now, one thing I'm interested in is how I've soldered these. Yeah, and strictly speaking, I've actually soldered these the wrong way around. So black needs to go on this side, and red needs to go on this side. And the same on this one. Yeah, you see, white needs to be on this one, black needs to be on that one. So I use tweezers. Don't press too hard so I don't damage the outer of the wires. Smashing. So so 2mm Allen key. This is the same one for the transformer as well that I took off. I did actually not mention that. And again, these aren't tight, overly tight, because I have not long had them undone. So the difference between the head disc Allen bolts and the transformer ones are the heads actually have a little washer on, and the transformer ones don't. I think they are the same length. Yes, they're the same length, but the ones that go into the heads have the little washer on, so just remember that, get them the right way round. So obviously the depth will be different, and I don't know what would happen, to be fair. I'll put the Allen bolts, and it doesn't matter which ones you use, into the little threaded sections of the head disc. So these aren't the fixing holes. These are additional threaded parts to the head disc that help you lift off the whole disc, and it'll sort of break the seal effectively, because they do sort of bed in and will stick. So and that has actually bedded in really well, even though it's not been on long. Now these heads are actually, they've had it. These are the worn heads, just to clarify. So these are the heads off the in inverted commas perfect HF100, and those are now coming over to this machine. So I'm actually lifting these up by the Allen screws and carrying them over, transferring them. It's absolutely a perfect way to do it. And then let's slacken these off, because I think they're actually stopping the disc from dropping. There we go, so that's on, pushed home, fantastic. And then let's put the hand screws back in. So these are the ones with the washers. So the white goes to this side. And the black to this side. So you always have to think of the black. Oh, that didn't solder, did it? You always have to think of the black as a common. Still doesn't look that great. And then same on this side, so B. Bit of a spike there, I'm not overly happy with, but I think we'll be fine. And then black. And I am only testing, so what I tend to do is refresh the solder as well, but I'm not going to worry about that this stage, because these heads are not staying on this machine. This is literally just a test. You might say I'm mad for doing this because it's an awful lot of work just to test for something I already know is a fact. But I'm intrigued, and I also want to test these new heads because, just for my peace of mind, basically, that these heads are actually good, because I have had brand new heads be bad. Good. So, just had to liberate the Allen screws because, of course, I've only got 2 of these. I'd use them to lift the other head disc out, so yeah, just had to liberate those. It's fine. No washers on those. Super. So solder, and again, I usually clean these up better than I have, to be honest. But yeah, I've bent the pins back because I did the same on the other deck to remove the transformer on that one. Yeah, so I've done that. I haven't done it there. Again, this is a little bit of a test. I don't anticipate leaving these heads on because I want them for my machine. But it is a test. I keep saying that. So happy that's all good. Soldered, soldered, soldered. That's in the right place. So white. So on the risers are white as well. They match up with the white on the drum there, on the transformer unit rather. And let's get and screw back in. We have the long screws to put in. Let's put those back in. I'll just do that and come back. So they're on, and then let's just put this back on. Shorter screws, so longer screws in the top of the drum, and shorter screws in tape guide assembly. And then the damper. So get the damper back on. It's back on. Super. So, next thing's to give it a try. So let's give it a try. One thing I did miss was, or to show, was the plugging in of that. So don't forget to plug that in. It cause all sorts of fun if you don't. Lovely. Noisy bearings, it's not unusual. And yes, I do have, I believe, do I have hi-fi? Oh, maybe I don't. It's saying there's hi-fi. So let's actually listen to what the sound is like. Nothing. Now this is really weird because let's just put Wi-Fi. So There is no hi-fi with these new heads. But the old heads, I was getting some hi-fi. I wonder if there's a problem with these heads, you know. Yeah, that's actually a bit interesting. And it's obviously picking up there is hi-fi on the tape, but there's no AFM. I'm going to have to do a lot more research on this and just see what's going on with both machines, to be honest. Because with these heads, I'm getting the same problem on the perfect HF100 as I'm getting on this one. Okay, well, lots of fun times, and obviously a few other things to look into here, and really just try and find out what on earth is going on. These machines are notoriously flaky, or can be, and I just wonder if I'm fighting multiple faults here, and ultimately I do need to get the scope back out. But this is reacting in a different way to when it had the other head disc on. And yeah, I'm not getting anything at all. So I'll leave it here. And what I'll do is I'll do a follow-up video on this. It's obviously going to take me a bit of time to sort of really investigate what is going on. But yeah, really bizarre. Well, I say really bizarre, really interesting. So, with that, thank you very much for watching. I hope you picked up a few bits and pieces, and I'm looking forward to some comments on this one as well, if you're knowledgeable on these machines. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and obviously I've got the Ko-fi page as well, so if you fancy making a donation and buy me a coffee, that would be fantastic. But other than that, see you in another video. Bye for now.